Hello and welcome to Peggy's Plants, coming to you from Central Florida. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions of people come together to explore and develop creative interests. Class topics include productivity, crafts, music, and creative writing, just to name a few. Skillshare is for lifelong learners of all skill levels. Most classes are under 60 minutes with short lessons to fit any schedule. I'm presently taking a class called Interior Design, Create a Plan for Your Perfect Room, being taught by Arlen Hernandez. And this class is helping me to get some design tips, some decorating tips for my new home. The Skillshare platform is continuously launching new premium classes without distracting advertisements. With an annual subscription, you can take as many classes on as many topics as you want for less than $10 a month. The first 1,000 subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free premium membership trial. So click on the link below, check out Skillshare, and see what they have available that you may be interested in. Now, let's get on to the plant video. Today I'd like to talk about the Rhaphidophora Hayi. Now, Costa Farms has their trending tropical plants out and they're kind of everywhere, but the new selection has been hard to find. So I'm in Publix, which here in Florida is a grocery store. I'm going down this aisle. Look down the end of this aisle. Yes, those white pots that I would recognize anywhere. And they had some Costa Farms trending tropical plants, as you see here: begonias, fiddly fig, aglaonema. Although I've been finding the trending tropical collection all over town, some of these plants have been impossible to find in the new collection, like the Trubii and the Hayi. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm not sure. So I was thrilled to find this one. It's the first time that I've been able to find one in a store. So let's get this plant out of the bag. I'm going to show you what I do with it. I'm going to remount it. And we're going to talk about the care of these shingling plants. I have a thing for shingling plants, and this is my third one, third type, and I'm so happy to add it to my collection. Look at this. I am so excited to finally have this plant. Now, I'm looking at this plant and I see the shingling plant on the front, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is a good sized plant for $19.99. These go for a lot more than that for a small one. And then I noticed, take a look at this, there's another one on the back. So I wasn't sure if this was how they did all of them or if this was some kind of fluke or whatever. So I did look online, and sure enough, all of them come with 2 shingling plants per pot for $20. So that's $10 a plant. There is no way you're going to buy a shingling plant for $10. So I'm very excited about this. If you take a look at it, the first thing that I noticed is it's outgrowing the board that it's not attached to it, but it is outgrowing it. So I was like, you know what? I need to mount it to something else. What I'm going to do first is I am going to mount it on this coco totem, and I'm going to show you that. We're going to talk about the care of these shingling plants, and I'm also going to show you what I do when I get new plants. Now, if you've seen my new plant video, you know what my steps pretty much are, but if you haven't, then I'll show you here. And these all come with a nice card with a picture of the plant, what it looks like. It gives care instructions and just a little information about the plant. So, I mean, they come in ceramic pots and they're $20, and they're hard to find, pricey plants. So a steal for $20 for sure. It's mounted to the board. Well, it's not actually mounted. It hasn't attached. So they have it affixed to the board with these rubber bands. So the first thing I'm going to do is carefully remove the rubber bands so that I can remove the board. I'm kind of happy that it's not attached, although even if it is attached, it's not a real big problem to detach these plants from whatever they're mounted to. I've done it many times with my other shingling plants. So, but as you can see here, these have not attached themselves. But I've kind of got a little ahead of myself. Before I remove the board, the first thing I'm going to do, and the first thing I do when I get a plant, is I like to check the roots and I like to check the soil. So that's what I'm going to do here. And what I'm doing is I'm just checking to make sure I don't see any pest in the soil and no mold. I want to make sure that there's no bad odor or anything like that. And I also want to check out those roots. Now, I'm not necessarily going to disturb it. First, I'm going to look to see if I see any roots coming through the holes at the bottom of this plant, and I do not, so it doesn't appear to be root bound at all. But I want to carefully remove this from the pot just to take a look at the roots. And if the roots and the soil look good, I'm just going to pop it right back in this pot. I don't see anything that looks like pest. I'm not noticing any odor. It's not overly saturated. There's nothing unhealthy looking that I see here, and the roots look good. There's no brown roots, no dead roots, or anything like that. All the roots that I see are white. So there's nothing that concerns me visibly. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop it back in this pot, and I'm going to use this soil. I'm going to leave this plant in this pot. If there was a problem, of course, I would repot this in new soil and discard this soil. Since everything looks good, it's back in the pot, and now I can go on to remove this board. Since I've already removed the bands, I can just go ahead and take this board out, and I'm just going to gently shimmy it to loosen it up in the soil and pull it out without disturbing the roots in the plant or the soil any more than absolutely necessary. And there we go. That was easy enough. Now at this time, if I wanted to, I could separate this into two individual plants in two different pots, but I'm going to go on and leave both of them in this pot and just simply take this totem, stick it right where that board was, and go from there. You can pretty much use anything you want to as a mount, but if you want your plants to grow flat, you need a flat board. These are the tiny roots that will attach to whatever your mount is. And again, they will attach to a wall, to a board, to a rock, to this coco core mount. The possibilities are only limited by your imagination. I like to use these particular mounts for the shingling plants because they do tend to grow quickly. They say they're medium growth, but I find them to grow rather quickly. And this way, as they get to the top of this pole, I can just add another one in the top instead of having a really big board with a small plant at the bottom. So it's just a matter of personal preference, whatever you want to do. I'm going to mount my plant going straight up, but you could, if you wanted to, train this plant to wrap around the pole, however you want to do it. Okay, I have the totem mount in, and as you can see, this plant is planted in a coco peat soil. You can plant these in sphagnum moss, you can plant them in perlite, leca, whatever you want to. They don't require a lot of care. I find them very easy to grow. They like bright indirect light. They don't like a really, really warm temperature. And here's another good look at the tiny roots that will attach the plant to whatever it's mounted to. These shingling plants will let you know when they need to be watered because the leaves will start to get a little wrinkly. I don't ever let their soil or whatever dry out completely. So now I'm going to take some floral tape and attach the plant to the totem. And this will not remain on the plant forever or on the setup forever. Once the plant has attached itself to the totem with the little roots, you can remove whatever you're using to hold it in place until then. I was looking at the Costa Farms care card that comes with the plant, and it says the ideal temperature for these plants is 55 degrees. I don't keep mine quite that cool. I keep them at room temperature, and I don't use a humidifier for them or anything like that. Now what I'm going to do with this floral tape is I'm just going to wrap it around the stem of the plant without having it rest on top of any of the leaves. I don't like to leave the tape or whatever I'm using to bind the plant. I don't like that on top of my leaves because when these things get wet, it can cause your leaf or whatever to rot. You want it to be snug enough to keep the plant in place so that it doesn't move around and it can attach. But you don't want it so tight that it's going to choke off the ability for the plant to move water or whatever. You don't want to damage the stem. However, you do want the stem to be in direct contact with your mount. So you need a little bit of pressure, but not too much. You don't want to damage the plant. That is the most important thing. I also like to make sure that I put my knots on the side of the totem rather than on the stem of the plant so that the pressure of the knot doesn't cause any damage either. If you've never tried a shingling plant and you think you may be interested, I think buying the Costa Farms Trending Tropical Rhaphidophora Hayi or Hayi, however you say it. I think it's a great opportunity to get this plant at a reasonable price so that if you find you do have some issues caring for it, you're not out of a lot of money. If you go price these shingling plants anywhere else, you'll see that they go for a lot more than $20, and these are two good size ones for $20. You just won't get that if you go to a plant seller and buy one of these. So it's a great opportunity to try a shingling plant. I think you're going to find that they're a lot easier to care for than you think. I water mine when, like this one, I will water when I can stick my finger into the pot up to the I go right past the first knuckle. I really prefer to use my my moisture meter though, because I don't like sticking my finger in there because I'm always afraid that I'm going to damage roots. You don't need any special equipment to care for these plants. They like light fertilizer. You can, if you're someone who just fertilizes once, these plants like once every 6 months, or you can fertilize every week, but very weekly like I do. I mix my fertilizer at 1/4 of the recommended amount. I use plain old Miracle Grow. And just that quick and easy, here she is all mounted. And it's just such a very beautiful plant. I'm excited to have this plant and add it to my collection. It's definitely a conversation piece. So if you don't have any really unusual plants in your collection, you don't want to break the bank, look for the Costa Farms Trending Tropical displays. See if you can find some of these harder to find plants. And a shingling plant is definitely something that adds a little something different to your collection. And that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay well, take care, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.